Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. Do we have a big one to talk about today? A number of small channels like mine are being accused by YouTube of generating invalid traffic, and YouTube is being very quiet about this, but many creators are losing up to 90% of their revenue. This is going to be a big story, so let's get to it. So what the heck is going on here? Well, the other day I loaded up my YouTube analytics on my web browser and also on my phone, as you can see here. And I'm now getting this message at the top of the screen that says ads have been limited on one or more of my videos due to invalid traffic. And I have no way of knowing which videos this applies to. And I don't know if there's any impact yet financially for me because I just got this message the other day. But I went on Twitter, now known as X, and did a search, and I'm seeing a bunch of other smaller creators like me who have been dealing with this now for over a month. Surfside PPC here has lost 80% of their revenue, about $10,000, and has no explanation from YouTube beyond this invalid traffic thing as to why it's happening. Andy Mack here, 70%. Connor Jacksick, 75%. WT Tuts, 70%. And this is just par for the course for people that are getting this message. They suddenly see revenue getting clawed back from YouTube. They even go back into the prior month and reduce the overall amount of revenue that they are reporting the creator will receive. So what does YouTube have to say about this? Well, they are being very, very guarded, even in one-on-one communications with creators. I do, of course, look to see what the YouTube liaison has to say, Renee Ritchie, who we've quoted on a few of these YouTube stories in the recent past. And he's not giving away much here. He says it's not a bug and that the system is trying to protect itself from invalid traffic, and it's penalizing these channels until that invalid traffic goes away. Now, what he suggests people do are two things. One is to get in touch with creator support, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing he does is direct YouTubers to an article on the YouTube support site about invalid traffic on your videos and what it means. And everything in this article pretty much blames the creator for it. And what they're saying here is that they're penalizing channels that have automated or incentivized traffic from third parties, including traffic boosting services and others claiming to be legitimate ad networks. I don't pay for anybody to do that on my behalf. They're also penalizing channels whose friends or contacts play videos from playlists all day long, resulting in a boost in ad traffic due to ads playing on those videos. I don't do this either, but I do have a lot of playlists, and the way YouTube works is that it just keeps playing indefinitely. It doesn't have a button that says, hey, are you still here or something. I think that's on YouTube to kind of police a runaway playback session. The other thing they're talking about here is that if you ask your viewers to watch or click through ads on certain videos to boost traffic, it will result in boosted ad revenue, which is also something that they would label as invalid traffic. But just about everything here blames the creator for it. And I will swear under oath that I'm not doing any of this stuff. I am doing what I do honestly. I built this channel from scratch. It took me over a decade to do it. And I do not ever do anything to generate invalid traffic. In fact, I'm complaining about how hard it is to get traffic on the videos that I have here because none of my subscribers actually see anything. And then the creator liaison again asks people to submit a support ticket in Studio so they can get a case started. Well, guess what? That case doesn't get started at all. Here's the result of the conversation that I had last night with YouTube support. They won't even give me an answer as to which video is the one being impacted here or what I can plan for here in so much as where my revenue is going to go here in the coming months. YouTube is about 25% of my overall revenue, so it's not my entire amount of income coming in, but I've got overhead and, you know, I can't really afford to lose 25% of my income or a significant portion of that 25%. And I have no way to plan for what the next couple of months are going to be like, nor do I have any way to know what the cause of this invalid traffic is here. But it looks as though they just blame us for this problem when I really think it is theirs. And all we're able to do here is just kind of speculate. So let's speculate and see what might be happening. And I'm doing this video primarily to ask some of the others impacted by this to see if our numbers align. And as many of you know, my strategy on YouTube since day one has not been so much to build a subscriber base, it kind of happened by accident, but to focus on reviewing products that people might be looking for and providing some good information on them. And the result here is that I don't have a regular audience that comes back here on a regular basis. And that certainly hurt me with some of the algorithm changes that have taken place over the last couple of years. So about 26% of my overall watch time from this year came from people who were subscribed to this channel. And the vast majority, 74%, came from people who weren't subscribed to the channel. And this doesn't mean that I don't value subscribers. I do. I do a lot of content directed just at you, but most of my revenue comes from this other traffic, and this is traffic that I believe to be legitimate because I am not doing anything to artificially boost any of it. Now, I think what's happening here is something that I've been noticing with the algorithm just for recommendations over the last year or so, which is that channels that don't have repeat audience are being penalized. And a bulk of the traffic that comes to this channel comes from search, both on YouTube search and through Google search. About 42% of my traffic, the largest bucket here, is coming from people searching for stuff, which makes a lot of sense because if you are looking for a review of this PTZ optics camera that I'll have here on the channel in a couple of days, you're going to search for it. And in your search results, you will find me and my review of this camera. You're going to click on that video, you're going to watch that video, and when you're done with it, you might subscribe to me, you might not. But for the most part, I'm going to be on to some other tech gadget on the channel that may or may not interest you. And for the most part, you're going to get what you need from me, and you probably won't be back until I have something else that you're looking for. And that's been the nature of my business since I started. But it's also how I built a subscriber base because a lot of you liked what I do. You have broad interests like I do when you hit the subscribe button. But what's happening now is that when you skip maybe 2 or 3 of my videos, YouTube decides that they don't need to show you anything of mine ever again. And you basically get shadow unsubscribed. And I think what's happening here is that they are applying the same logic to invalid traffic, and that if we can't reasonably determine that all of this crazy search traffic is real people, then we're just going to penalize you and just not count it towards advertising or not show ads to the people searching. And that is my big fear for this channel because a bulk of my revenue comes from those search results. And if YouTube can't smartly figure out who's a real person from a search result and not, it's going to really hurt this channel quite a bit. And it's unfortunate that their inability to determine who's real and who isn't is something that I'm going to be punished for. So I think, again, what's happening here is that a bulk of the people impacted by this are a lot of smaller channels, probably tech channels like mine, that have gadget reviews that are very search optimized, and they're getting hit with this because they're not getting a lot of return audience. And we'll have to keep an eye on this and see how it develops, but I know it's hurt me a lot on the algorithmic side. I've lost a lot of traffic from repeat audiences as a result of my videos not getting recommended, but my revenue's been okay because most of it's come from the search side, and now that is at risk. Am I going out of business tomorrow? No, but I'm very concerned about my ability to keep growing this business if 25% of my revenue right now is at risk, which it is. What else is at risk? Well, I think YouTube is going through a bit of a crisis right now. They recently had a change of leadership, so they have a new CEO, and we're starting to see some things leaking out of YouTube insofar as the company's strategy. And they've always been very, very disciplined about how they communicate out, not only with creators, but the public and investors. And the other day, I saw this article in the Financial Times. It is behind a paywall, but I'll pull out the most interesting part of it. And here, some internal debate in YouTube got leaked out to the reporter writing this story. And the story centered around shorts cannibalizing the core YouTube business. And a few weeks ago, I did my own story about this because I saw how shorts were cannibalizing my long-form videos. And I stopped doing shorts as a result of that. But a lot of other creators went the opposite direction because they were chasing views and saw more success with shorts from a view standpoint than they did on the long form, which takes more labor to create. And there are some debates going on inside of YouTube as to whether or not shorts was a good idea. And I think what's happening here is that YouTube is just panicking right now. They were determined to beat TikTok, And in their desire to beat TikTok, they basically became TikTok and threw away, or in the process of throwing away, everything that made YouTube different and unique in the social media space. They're the only ones who've been able to figure out long-form video, and yet, according to their own staff members, they've broken it because of how they've approached shorts. And the shorts philosophy and the TikTok philosophy just got into everything, including how they recommend long-form video, because they just want to keep people glued and they want to just keep putting up these shiny objects for everybody. And meanwhile, this algorithm is deciding what the user should see, and the user is not. And there are some changes that they could make to balance this out, which we've talked about in some of the prior videos I've done on this. And we're seeing some indicators of the debate raging inside of YouTube at the moment, especially with their most recent policy change, which was removing external linking from short-form videos. And I talked about that on the video that you see there in the middle. I've also got a link on screen at Lon.TV/YouTube issues, where I detail all of the recent things that have been bugging me about YouTube. And that's because they've really stopped communicating with creators in a meaningful way. At least that's been my experience. Now, if we go back maybe 5 or 6 years, they were very much invested in creator success. I think the company realized that they can't grow if their creators aren't growing. And so back then, even when you hit like the 10,000 or 20,000 subscriber mark, you would get an account manager assigned to you. And this wasn't just some person that would just give you a rah-rah, good job. They actually spent some time with you. They would schedule an hour-long call over the course of a month or two, where they would take a look at your channel, give you some homework to do to get yourself better optimized with different thumbnails and that sort of thing. And some of the account managers that I've had in the past have been really helpful in getting me assistance with people that were re-uploading my content and a bunch of other stuff. It really felt like I was a valued partner in the business, whereas now I feel very much not like a partner, which is why I'm making all these videos complaining about things, because nobody's listening anymore. And we also had some other great things that they would do, like the YouTube Spaces, which I've done videos about, where we had full-on production facilities we could visit for not only making videos, but they also had some great networking events. And I personally have done a lot for YouTube, in the sense that I have participated in dozens of creator feedback sessions. In full disclosure, they did give a little bit of compensation for those sessions. Usually they pay you like 50 or $100 for an hour or two of your time. But some of those sessions had me going into New York City to meet with them in person. That cost me a lot more to travel there and stay there than it did for what I was compensated with. But I felt so strongly about the platform, and still do, that it was worth my time and money to go offer some feedback to them. And although I'm under an NDA for a lot of what I saw, there were some great things in development that would really address some of the things that I've been complaining about, that I loved and told them would be awesome. But for whatever reason, the powers that be inside of YouTube decided not to implement a lot of these things. And it's really just made me feel very disheartened about the direction that they're going in. Again, I think they've panicked over TikTok. They're trying everything they can do to try to make themselves just like them. And in doing so, they're really hurting the core strength of this platform. And I think there is time to get back from it. But they've got to go back and look at how they used to do things, and how creators were much more part of this partnership, if you will. There were always things to complain about, of course, but it felt better. I felt valued. I don't feel that way anymore. And then when we see them talking about creator mental health, and meanwhile they're pulling the rug on everyone's revenue, that's not good either for the platform. So I think what they've got to do is really get to the bottom of what this invalid traffic issue is all about. I think they need to communicate much more clearly with people, because people are just seeing their revenue go away with no explanation and no way to fix it. And it's just not good. And I think they've got to really start looking at this very closely. And the reason why you're not hearing about this is because it doesn't impact the large creators. Those folks are still really valued by YouTube management. What YouTube really needs is not a liaison, but an independent ombudsperson, like many newspapers used to have, who could represent people without the fear of the company firing them for saying the wrong thing. And I think that's what we need right now, an ombudsman or a complete corporate strategy to focus on the damaged relationship here that is growing among creators. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.